Page 46, Merry Christmas, everybody. It's a boogie-woogie arrangement of a piece that, well, we'll get into it. Hopefully you'll recognize it. Common timer, 4/4 time, 1 sharp. We're in the key of G major again. Sure you can do that G major scale. Starting with the right hand, let's get the fingering and all that. You're coming in second finger here. That's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The C is beat 4. And 4 and 1 is quarter notes, and this hard. Now that at the end of the line, that whole note, the D is tied, and when you go to the next measure, you cross over your second finger on the F. But hold the D down here, and lift up and do it again. Reach up. You're moving around a little bit. That's all right. Just follow the fingering in the book. Now at the end of the page, the bottom of page 46, the notes, and the top of page 47, using 1 and 2. I would suggest you change instead of 2 and use 3, and use 2 and 3 on these. Because when the third measure, when you get there, you need 5th finger on the D, and this way, the third finger, the little finger is closer to it. Makes it a little easier. And then third finger, and then this is the third measure over. That's 1, 2, and you're gonna, that's tied. You hold that on and add the G, thumb with it, and then in the next measure, the A is tied, you just play it here. So again, the measure is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Like so. You got multiple voices going on. And then you're going to lift up and come up. Thumb they want. We're not really in this position. I mean, we sort of are, but the point is, I got more notes to cover than I got fingers, so I have to fiddle this just a little bit. So it's a thumb, the second line here on page 47. Then I suggest use 4th finger for the A, and the next measure use 4, not 5, and this 3, 2, 1. That's it. You can do that. Just spread out. Next measure, then it's 5, F natural, 4. Don't matter what it sounds like. We'll get there in a minute. Here, and then the D is tied. Do the F sharp. We've done that before, and then lift up again. 3, and again, second measure, third line is 4, not 5. And the F naturals. Now remember that natural applies to the rest of the measure, so all of these are F natural. If you don't want to put a thumb on that, then use the thumb on the C instead. Here, and then a 4, 5, and then a 2, 4. And now 1, 5. Your F natural, or F sharp back. And they put, this is the 4th line down, they put the sharp in parentheses because it's a courtesy sign. It's an F sharp anyway, because the F natural from the previous measure is only good for that measure. It's not a tied note. You think, well, that curved line, it's a tied note. No, it's not a tied note because there's another note in between. That breaks it. It's not tied, it's slurred. So it's an F sharp anyway. But they put the sharp in there just to make sure you know it's a sharp. You don't misinterpret it. Here. And then going on, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and again. 1 and 2 and 1, 4 and 1. F naturals again. Now, somewhere in this last line on these D's, you need to put 4th finger on them. So, somewhere in there, use 4th finger. And this rhythm in the second measure. 1 and, so 1 and 2, 3, 4. And then it's a little finger, because you're going to hold that down for a while. And hold it down as you do the triplets. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. And then just come up here. That's not very, I don't like that fingering, but I don't have a choice. And then here. When you play the quarter note, F sharp, the half note comes up. It's by itself, then you can lift up. But you can, if you have little hands, you can use thumb on that. So forth. The left hand has this rhythm up, up, Ba-bum. Just make sure you hold the half notes down. There's two voices. So forth, and that's pretty much it for the left hand until you get to the block chords at the bottom of page 47. The last two lines or so, you have an F natural, A D, and then an F natural, B flat. Last line is an F natural again, and an F natural again. And then the last two measures, one ended, two ended, 3, 1, just come up 1. That's it for the left hand. Well, that's fine. We've got enough going on in the right hand, so it's here. And as far as counting this left hand, you go 1 end to 2 end. I prefer to just feel it and just make sure they're short. Don't turn them into triplets. Triple, triple. No, it's not triplets. It's keep the short note short. So forth. You work it all the way through and you get over to the last two lines, the next to the last line on page 47, and you're here. The right hand comes out when you play the last note and you get one beat rest, both hands, and now you're coming up here. And because these are repeated notes, I tend to use a 1-3-1-3 combination. Use any combination, whatever you use, same finger if you want, I don't care. And then going on, last line, 3, and then that B flat's by itself, and then so forth. You don't have to go that fast. You can take it slow. Just make sure these short notes are short. Don't turn them into triplets. As far as articulation goes, you're pretty much connecting everything. You can lift up between the phrases in the right hand. The left hand, I suggest you connect it all except maybe the last measure of the first line on page 47, because you're here. Both hands get a staccato, and then come up. Otherwise, try and connect the left hand as best you can. Now, don't be confused about on these triplets at the bottom of page 47. You see the little curved line on each triplet? That's part of the triplet indication. It's not a slur. That is another thing that curved line can be used for. I just love it. But connect these. It's not. No. Connect those all together. That curved line is. As far as speed goes, well, to give you an idea. You have to build it up to the speed. The beat has to be a steady beat. You can go as slow as you need to go, but that beat has to be steady. So work on the spots and get rid of the hesitations. Now they've added pedal. Well, you don't need pedal. You play just fine without it. But they've added pedal. Adds the overtones. That's the only thing I can see that it's doing is adding overtones. Otherwise, I see no reason for it. The problem is we don't want it to get too blurry. And the pedal, it can get blurry. They're using overlapping, so you put the notes down first and then the pedal. You're changing the pedal at each P, here at the beginning of every measure. You just change it. You get to the top of page 47, last measure, you lift the pedal when you play the staccato note. So we hear a staccato note, and then you don't pedal the rest of that measure until the next line you start. And the fourth line down on page 47, at the end of the second measure, lift the pedal up. They have an asterisk. That means lift the pedal up. So we get one beat of silence before we go into the interlude thing. And that interlude is just kind of a bridge. It's not part of the song. So the song really ends there in the second measure of that fourth line. This is just kind of a bridge that takes you back to the original theme, because you have a DS all fine at the bottom. The DS means go back to the sign, and the sign is at the top of page 46. You see the little squiggly thingamajigger? You go back to that. The fine is there at the double bars right in front of the interlude. So basically you're doing the song twice. You're just doing the interlude once, is all. I like to do a play with me very slowly to double check the notes and all. I'm not going to do any dynamics or anything. Let's just cover it, even one hand at a time if you have to for a bit. But we are going to do the Dies al fine thing too. So I will give us 3.5 counts because we come in on the end of 3. 1 and ready and go.
test.